Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Very big show lined up here. 1 day away now, set from the men's Final Four. We get the women's games coming up tonight. On the program today, we'll talk some NBA awards with Jay Croucher. He has very strong opinions on several awards. Brian Mahoney, the Garden was rocking last night. Huge win for the Knicks. We have Andrea Carter on the show from ESPN talking women's Final Four, and Bruce Marshall, who has had a really good betting tournament. He'll join us back into the program today as well, Paulie, and we will begin with the first game that we have on the docket tomorrow. It is NC State and Purdue, with Purdue hanging tight as a 9-point favorite, and the total 146 and a half. A lot of talk, obviously, this week about how this game is going to get officiated, the calls. People are either unhappy with what takes place with Zach Edey, or other people are defending what takes place with Zach Edey. I think the most interesting part here, again, going into this game, like it was with the Duke game, and Marquette, quite frankly, for NC State, was how much now do you look at this team, current form, compared to what they were full season? Bart Torvik has an amazing website for college basketball, and you can sort his numbers several different ways, one of which is you can go back every single date, to every date since the beginning of the season. And if you punch in March 12th, Paulie, that was the first day of the ACC tournament, right? Since then, NC State has been rocking and rolling too. Per his numbers, they are ranked as the 12th best team in the country. Well, season-long numbers, they finally cracked the top 50 after their win with Duke. But this team, again, much different than what we saw in the early part of the season.
What happened up to the ACC tournament, you have to throw out. And how well they've played, and to be a dog in every game but Oakland, what they've done, and it's so damn impressive, led by Burns and Horn, and they would set the record for biggest long shot to ever win a tournament, and they also enter the Final Four with the most losses all time. So they're a completely different team, and you throw it out once you get the ball rolling here, and also the confidence. They've been unstoppable, and that's We Believe group as well. So this is spectacular and astonishing what they've done, and to be an 11 seed and I thought they had no chance against Texas Tech to start, and they run them out, and then they blow out Marquette and what they've done with the toughest tests coming from Oakland. So you nailed it though at the beginning about what's going to happen with the officiating. As we talked about Monday, the forearm in the back was called all night on Tennessee. They kept calling that. So what do they allow Edey what do they allow Burns and those guys to get away with? What do they call on Edey? He likes to swing the elbows. He likes to push off down low. Imagine if he's in foul trouble, how that swings things, but how the game will be officiated, and if they let Burns and NC State bang and play down low is a big part of this game, and I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah. Now, Purdue, obviously, they are a really good three-point shooting team. They have been one of, if not the best, three-point shooting teams pretty much the entire year in college basketball. And one thing that I cannot ignore with this team is that when you do go back from the beginning of the season with the Boilermakers, like their non-conference schedule was absolutely brutal, and they ran it.
That's right.
And these wins now, and a lot of them were very impressive, the final margins, but they went through Xavier, Gonzaga, Tennessee, Marquette, Alabama, and Arizona, all in the non-conference. And then they had 4 losses throughout the year, all of those coming in Big Ten play. The final one, which was in the Big Ten tournament, when they lost that game to Wisconsin in overtime. And they were very impressive against Gonzaga in the second half of this tournament.
Yes.
And down 11 against Tennessee, they were unfazed, and they came back, and they were like, okay, we took a really good shot from you. Now taste this. And they got back into the game. And then, Edey did live at the free throw line in that game. He did score 40 points. He is really he's for that big of a human being, he's really good at basketball. But he's far from the only player they have on this team. And if the threes are going in, it's going to be tough for NC State, in my opinion, to keep up.
They average 76 a game. So will they come close to that, and what will they do offensively? I think Purdue will be able to limit them offensively. But to say they absorbed the uppercut with Tennessee is an understatement. I mean, they had the lead at halftime.
Yeah.
So that after that big run that Tennessee had on them. So the question is, and it's the same thing with the late game. Are they just going to cover every game and blow people out? I think you're paying a tax here, and both spreads are too high. But both teams continue to cover. I mean, we know the Connecticut story. It's 10 in a row now in the tournament. But Purdue has blown everybody out in what they've done. And the close call was in the first game with a huge point spread. The kid hits the 3 late. But are you going to bring your A game and blow everybody out all the way to the title game? You'd think at some point it's going to be a close game, and it's going to be a tough game and a test down the stretch. But I think NC State can hang in this one, and I think it can be a competitive game. And the question is, what if the superstar has an off game, if he just doesn't have it? You know, if Burns frustrates him, if Horn knocks down a bunch of threes. I found this odd. There's a prop up. The biggest run is 11.5.
Yeah, between the two games.
Yeah. No one's going to have a 12-0 run. This tournament's been all about runs.
Yeah, it feels like 12. I mean, if this is the NBA, it'd be an all-time suitcase bet.
Yeah, right.
But college basketball, too, 12 does feel like it's certainly manageable. Both games here we're talking about combined. Will one team hit that mark? I think yes.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great bet based on what's happened the whole entire tournament, and it's just it's bound to happen. 80 free throw attempts are 11. That's another big one. I mean, I think the whole key to this is, do they let him? They let him get physical, and or do they call the ticky-tack stuff on NC State?
It's easy to say that you're going to want to go over that one.
Mm-hmm.
In the second half, I mean, what's going to take place if Purdue has like a 7-8 point lead and they keep dumping it down to that guy? You could just see it being a parade to the free throw line.
Right. Much has been made that no team west of Texas has won since 97. The Big Ten hasn't won since 2000.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that.
Been a long, long time.
Yeah.
Far too long.
Michigan State in 2000. So as much as we love Izzo, and we know it's hard to win, and I think it's ridiculous some of the grief that Mark Few takes, considering, Boeheim coached over 40 years and won one of these things, and how difficult it is. And even though Few's made 2 championship games, think about that.
Yep.
The Big Ten hasn't done it since 2000.
Some props up for this game at DraftKings. Zach Edey to score 40-plus points and Purdue to win is plus 380. Zach Edey scored 40 points once this year. It was last game against Tennessee.
Wow.
Fletcher Lawyer to score 15-plus and hit 3 threes. That's 3-1. That's actually happened 6 times on the year. So that can take place. Some other props, they did get creative by teaming up some of these players. Like Edey to score 30-plus and DJ Burns to score 25-plus. That's plus 650. Edey scored 30 10 different times this year. Burns only scored 25 points twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Good info.
I'll give you...
Well, you asked me earlier, but you're convinced Burns is going to be in foul trouble.
Well, no,
So, that's a prop, too. Will Edey... Well, that's not a foul. Will Edey block one of his shots? That's even money. But does he get in foul trouble early, and does that change the game?
And I wanted the prop up.
Mm-hmm.
I want, will Burns have a foul? You can break it down in several different minutes. This is like the first score in a game in the NFL. In the first 5:30, 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, whatever. Will Burns have a foul in the first minute, the first 2 minutes, the first 3 minutes? And then I also wanted a prop of, will any NC State player have 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? You can juice it however you would like.
Yeah.
If Purdue is in the bonus with 12 minutes to go in the first half, people are going to be screaming holy hell.
Absolutely.
And
because people were frustrated with what happened in the Tennessee game. But it's something we've never seen before. I mean, I guess maybe Shaq in the NBA, but it's not on the college level.
Right.
Where it's, this is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. You let him get away with murder, and Purdue doesn't think he gets enough calls. And he's disrespected. Mm-hmm. And Painter's always working the official. And Painter even had that unbelievable quote that officials come up to him and say, listen, he gets fouled every possession, but we can't call it every single time.
Yeah,
that's wild to me.
There's no doubt that he gets hacked quite a bit.
Right, so you have no idea what's going to transpire Saturday or in a championship game based on those comments.
Right, and what you and I have been saying now for a couple of weeks is, are they actually going to call it the other way as well?
Yes.
We fully admit that he gets hammered, right? But he's also, he can't get away with just tomahawking these guys with his arms and swinging it, because he's gigantic and he's just all over like this and he's hitting people in the face. You're going to let that go?
Well, it's big. Number one, it's big if he connects. Number two, you can't allow him to push off like that because he's just a beast anyways, and it's stealing. He's going to put it back, no problem, and give him easy buckets. But you saw when Rick Barnes lost his mind because they're calling this elbow or forearm
Right, trying to
the
get some
back.
leverage on the guy.
But it's like he weighs. Look how big he is and how much he weighs. What am I supposed to do? I have no chance if I can't get physical or get handsy with him because he's just going to back me. And he's a beautiful what he does getting position. And he'll kick it back out to the guard, get more position, get deeper. The guard will dump it down to him again. And it's just, at that point, you have no chance if he's that low.
Yeah, because if you can't put your body on him, you can't be physical, it's going to be a layup line the whole time.
Yes.
What are you supposed to do defensively? Mm-hmm. I guess Fairleigh Dickinson had the answer last year as a 16 seed because they triple teamed him the whole time. The problem is, once he kicks it out this year, those threes are probably going to be going in because they're going to be open. I'll give you one here. Braden Smith to have a triple-double is 25-1. He has not had a single triple-double this year. However, some of the games where he was very close, he had 11, 11, and 8 in one game, 19, 10, and 9 in another, 12, 9, and 7, 16, 9, and 8, 11, 11, and 8, 10, 10, and 8, 14, 15, and 8. He's been close several times. Mm-hmm. Triple-doubles in the Final Four do not happen very often. Could he actually pull one off here at 25-1? I went back and looked at every single one of his stat lines from the game log this year, and I'm like, he actually was like right there in like 7-8 games where he was very, very close. Could have had one.
You could have an unsung hero. I would not lay the 275. Edey's the leading scorer of the day.
No, neither would I.
I would not do that.
No, how about this? We'll get into this coming up next. Will UConn win the Final Four game and the title game by double digits? There's a prop up on that, and we'll kick around where we are with that game here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. One sleep away until the Final Four, and this show, Follow the Money, is hitting the road to the DraftKings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale for the Final Four, and we are doing a special Saturday edition of Follow the Money that starts at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can join us. We're going to bring you the latest insights, expert analysis, and exclusive interviews to give you a betting edge for the Final Four. Don't miss a slam dunk, or should we say hole-in-one. Check out a special edition of Follow the Money Saturday live from the DraftKings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale. That's tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern. We'll be getting there. Can't wait. Scottsdale's awesome. I've never been to that book, even though we went to the Super Bowl last year. Didn't have time to go to it. And just based on all the photos and all the videos that have been out since they opened that book a couple years ago, it looks phenomenal. So can't wait to get there and watch it with you when you show up for the big games tomorrow. The second game tomorrow night is UConn and Alabama. Bama around 11.5 or 12. Again, that got as high as 12.5 at a lot of spots earlier in the week. Buyback on that. Total is 160.5. Alabama flying over essentially every total as of late, with the exception of the Grand Canyon game. That was just a bizarre game. Neither team could make a shot. I blame Grand Canyon should have won the game. If any team in the tournament could have a game back, in fact, it might be the Antelopes for how poorly they shot from the free throw line from downtown in that game. Mm-hmm. But regardless, here's UConn now, a huge dog. And I will say this, I am convinced the way that Oates coaches with the analytics, he embraces the math. He's a former math teacher. It's everything at the rim or from downtown. And he already said, he's like, we're not going to be stupid. We're not going to attack Donovan Clingan down low. This team, they played in the SEC. Every game was a big game, right? They went from playing Tennessee to Kentucky to South Carolina to Auburn, right? This team will be unafraid. They're not going to come out and, again, credit to Illinois, and I say that because they were down 9-0 and they looked like they saw Casper the Ghost. And then they came back to tie it up somehow at 23. And then after that, it was all she wrote. I thought Illinois looked intimidated from the jump. Alabama's not going to have that. They're not going to have a single ounce of fear in their eyes looking at UConn. Now, does that mean the shots are going to go in? Of course not. But just they're so talented, and they have so many guys who are long and athletic that they could create some problems here for UConn.
It's inflated, and you're paying a tax because of the Illinois performance. And everyone's aware they've covered 10 in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing a good team out of the SEC, and look at the point spread, right? So you should be in this just by the fact that you're going to bombs away and take 35 threes. Now, unless you have a horrible performance, it should be, you should be within striking distance for much of the game and make enough shots. And with how good Sears is, you should hang in. Mm-hmm. And with the size they have and how well the bigs have played. But you play no defense. So is it clinging down low and they just dominate you offensively and you see the total, that it's not a problem and they get whatever they want offensively? I mean, that also could happen. So it's who knows? Maybe it's just the UConn Invitational again, and this guy's going to win 12 in a row and cover 12 in a row, and he's 13-3 ATS all time in the tournament. And I don't know what it is about this time of year, but UConn dominates. With the two other titles they had before last year, you're 26-6 ATS in the tournament since 2009. Yeah, it is. So he also uses everything as motivation and fuel. Well, he'll talk about the airline disaster and what happened. He'll use that, just like he used Howard the early game.
What was his quote yesterday? I think it was something like, "Who has a good airline story?"
Yeah, right.
Who likes the airlines? Right. Show me the person the next time they say, "Boy, I got to tell you, our flight,
it was great.
Amazing, phenomenal job." Right?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. For what it's worth, Ken Pom has this an 8-point game. Torvik has it a 10-point game.
Now that seems about right. That should have been the line, 8. But they were up 30 on a good Illinois team. So then it's like, and they cover every game, and the public did so well that it's just like, okay, well, 12.
Yeah.
And Circup went up with the highest number at 12, and now you're seeing 11.5. But 750 on the money line. Think about that. It's a Final Four game.
I know. It's a Final Four game against a really good team from the SEC. Again, it sounds like I'm just trying to sit here. I'm trying to find ways for Alabama, I don't know about winning the game, but to cover the game here and keep it within 12. Again, the threes that they've hit so far, they hit 16 against Clemson. Are they going to hit 16 again? Probably not. That's tough to pull off. But they hit double digits 2 other games so far in the tournament. Again, that game against Grand Canyon, they hit 8. Grand Canyon hit 2. Neither team could shoot to save their lives in that game. I am looking, though, at, just because it's going to be frantic, up and down, they're going to force pace. That actually could be a good thing for UConn. But I think it's, as this big of a dog, you're going to get some pretty nice prices like first to 10, 15, and first to 25. Like I'm looking at plus 175 right now, first to 10. You can find then the longer the game goes on, the higher the price you're going to get on a team like Alabama. But who's to say like they can't come out right away, knock down a couple of threes, and all of a sudden it's like 9-4 Alabama, and those tickets are suddenly live. 10, 15, all of it.
And we've seen UConn can at least have an average half of basketball.
And shoot poorly.
Half. Yeah, and have a bad first half. And then you start believing, and then maybe they get tight. Because I mentioned earlier, Mike Palm checking in about the Arizona-North Carolina game. That was unwatchable 66-58 final. I think he said it was Dean Smith's last game. So they are kids, and sometimes you get bad performances, upsets, and you're playing in football stadiums. And you get bad performances shooting-wise, too. That obviously hurts Alabama, and you make the case for a UConn blowout, and also the under. But UNLV, the other angle is we'll do with the women in South Carolina. They have been in close games. But if you get them in a close game now with that UNLV team that lost to Duke in 91, they hadn't been in a close game. They got in a close game, they lost.
I've been to 2 Final Fours before. One of them was in 2017 at Phoenix. I covered it, did not go to the games. The one other Final Four I attended, covered and did go to the games, was in 2008. That happened to be the only time we've ever had 4 number 1 seeds make it. And I got to tell you, I had zero interest in being at the games. It was at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. It's so big. It's way too big to play a basketball game in. They need to go back and I know why they do it. I get it. So they can sell as many tickets as possible and make as much money. This game should be played in a basketball arena, not a football stadium.
Yep. What's your favorite prop?
I don't mind that. In the first game, the Purdue game, I think there's a chance here that, let me get it for you here. How about Fletcher Lawyer to score 15 points plus hit 3 threes? Did it 6 times this year. That pays 3-1.
Okay.
I don't hate that one at all. They're going to get open shots. This Purdue team is lethal at knocking down threes.
Sure.
They have been the entire year, one of the best teams in the country all season long.
You have to collapse on them.
You're going to have to, right? Like that's going to, you're not just going to give him 40. So with that thought in mind, like who's going to benefit from that? I think he's going to be one of the guys. And if the shots are there, they're going down potentially. And then if he hits 3 threes in the game, it's a very good chance he's going to go for 15 points as well.
Globally, there's a prop, biggest run of the game, 11.5 points. I mean, to me, that's a great bet that someone's going to have at least a 12-0 run in one of these 2 games. You think there's a chance there's a buzzer beater?
In the women's games.
In the women's games?
Yes.
Okay.
Not the men, it doesn't happen very often. Happened last year, I get that. But I think the women's games can be tight, and you can get, 30-1, I believe, Luke?
Yep. For
the 3 remaining games. You get the 2 Final Four games tonight, and you get the championship game on Sunday. And I don't know. I have this in my head that buzzer beaters happen quite often on the women's side. I could be dead wrong on that.
Would you be more surprised if UConn loses or the South Carolina women? Same point spread. But then you're talking undefeated, and then UConn never loses in this spot.
Well, who's the better team, NC State women or Alabama men? I'd probably be more surprised if the South Carolina women lose tonight.
They've been in a couple close games, though.
No, I know they have. But also, like, the thought process here is they lost. A lot of times when these teams lose the previous year and they were right there, they look at Purdue. Right. Losing in the first round last year to a 16 seed, and that's only happened one other time. Virginia, they came back and won the whole thing.
Right. Now, if they can do this, right, do Virginia part 2. That'd be nuts.
So that's, I think, South Carolina, despite losing a lot of talent last year, Staley's amazing. The talent she gets there is just phenomenal. So with that kind of taste in their mouth, I think I'd be a little bit more surprised if they lost.
Well, we've mentioned several times the officiating, and you have to when you're talking about a Purdue game. But, with tinfoil hat guy, and you see this has been the year of basketball. The ratings are outrageous. You saw the number NC State Duke got.
Oh, yeah.
Everything with Caitlin Clark. Imagine UConn Purdue in the men's and South Carolina Iowa on Sunday.
Oh,
it even set more records. If you're talking about that's the rating for an Elite 8 game, what are we talking about Sunday and
Sunday's
Monday?
Going to be...
If that many people are going to watch NC State Duke, what's going to happen if it's Edie against UConn, who never, trying to go back-to-back, and then it's Caitlin Clark against undefeated South Carolina?
How about if we have just incredible games? Nobody's tuning out. Brian Mahoney covers the NBA for the AP up next. If the Nuggets get the 1 seed in the West, Orlando gets the 2 or the 3 in the East, who's the coach of the year? We'll ask him on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Start your morning with a daily dose of winning strategies, insider tips, and the latest buzz with the free VSiN daily newsletter. Bill 80 up early, previewing the Final Four. Expert analysis, latest odds straight to your inbox, absolutely free. VSiN.com/newsletter to subscribe. The great Brian Mahoney joins us now at Brian C. Mahoney on Twitter. Covers the NBA for the Associated Press. He was at the game last night. Knicks were down 21, came back to win, but the big story was what happened earlier in the day. Randall out for the year. And good to talk to you, my friend. Thanks for getting up. Something's not adding up here, right? Because they said he wasn't cleared for contact, but Randall said he got hurt and aggravated the injury in a drill. What gives?
Yeah, their story isn't exactly adding up. They may just have different definitions of words. Randall, what he thinks is contact, maybe not be what Tom Thibodeau is. What Randall says is a setback. Thibodeau seems to think maybe it was more just sort of it was hurting him too much that he didn't get re-injured, like Randall said. So, you can't be exactly sure what it actually all means. But the bottom line is it sounds like he was aiming toward moving up and then had something go wrong and had to throw the towel. It's too bad for the Knicks because they really felt like, and he felt like he was going to be able to come back in April.
Well, doesn't it get worse because there's a chance he's not ready for the start of next year also? He has to be reevaluated when we're talking months down the line, too?
Yeah, well, that's the point, too. It's true. If you knew he wasn't going to be able to come back, you would have said do the surgery right then and there, knowing how long the recovery time is. But waiting as long as they did now, 5 months before he's evaluated again, that takes you into September, obviously. Training camp is the end of the month. So, in reality, he probably is not ready or very hard to be ready for the start of next season. But, it was worth the risk, I think, knowing how good their potential was this year to wait as long as you could before making that decision. I understand why they did it.
What's the status on OG?
Well, Thibodeau sounded optimistic there. It's been weird with that one because he obviously came back from elbow surgery, played 3 games, went out again. No one's really sure if he was actually re-injured or maybe just wasn't ready yet when he came back. But, he sounded yesterday, said he's practicing fully again. He's missed now. This will be, I think he played 9 in a row now, but he said he's doing well. So if he gets back, Mitchell Robinson has come back, at least they get 2 out of 3. They don't get Randall, but they get 2 out of 3 guys who were hurt, and maybe they have a chance to still win a round.
Yeah, okay. So what do you think that's their ceiling? Would be to win one round now at this point? And if you can go back, and if this team at some point were to get fully healthy, now realizing that they can't, but at full strength, what do you think the ceiling was for this team this year?
At full strength, the team just before Randall got hurt, in late January when they went 14-2 that month, and their margin of victory was, incredible. They were killing teams. I think they were the second best team in the East. I don't think anyone's beaten Boston, maybe in the whole league when they're at full strength. But the way the Knicks defended, the way they were scoring there, the confidence they had after adding Anunoby to that lineup, they just felt like they were better than you when they played you. So it's hard to not every team has that. So yeah, I do think if they had stayed healthy, they were a conference finalist this year.
That is an amazing fan base, and they've been dying for a winner for a long time. Watching on TV, it looks like Jalen Brunson is an absolute rock star. How popular is he right now?
Yeah, he really is. And, there's been guys here who obviously, when they play well in New York, people love them. Carmelo and Amari Stoudemire, Jeremy Lin for a couple weeks. But what Brunson has, when his name is announced, the people love him. Because look, the New York fan base, everyone thinks they want superstars. They're like the Knicks _90s teams, guys like John Starks and Oak. These were just hardworking players who were better than maybe you thought they were, and that's what Brunson has become. He's not a number 1 draft pick guy. He's just played himself into a star, and the fan base loves that, and that's what he's become. And yeah, he's super popular here.
Brian, when I watch them play and I see how well Hart's playing and DiVincenzo, and we know Brunson's become a superstar, if they get OG back, I still think that's the second best team in the East that can challenge Boston. Milwaukee's a 500 team with Doc. The Cavs are inconsistent. We saw what happened last year, losing in 5 to the Knicks. I don't know what you're going to get out of the 76ers. The Heat have had their issues. You agree here? I mean, I still think they can still get to the conference finals and challenge Boston and give them the toughest series.
It's possible still that they are the second best team in the East. If like you say, Paul, if Anunoby comes back, they still, Brunson is, a great player. They shoot the threes pretty well. DiVincenzo's had a great year. Hart, has become almost a triple-double machine. So there's still a lot there. And like you say, look, they overwhelmed Cleveland last year. Orlando, who knows what you have there? Indiana, who knows what you have there? These are still some teams that you can't be sure of. So maybe the Knicks still do have a little bit of run in them.
We only have a couple games left in the season, but there's a lot on the line. And who gets the 1 seed in the West? What happens with Orlando, who can actually catch Milwaukee and get the 2, and they play them twice? What do you think's going to happen with Coach of the Year?
It's an interesting vote. I thought all along it was going to be Oklahoma City. When they kind of led the West for a lot early in the year, I thought that they were ahead of schedule. But Minnesota, of course, right there, too. It could be whoever wins the West there. Might be one of those 2 guys. It could be Mosley and Orlando. I think there's, 3 guys there who all have a great case based on, I think, those teams maybe exceeding expectations a bit.
Yeah, I wonder if Denver's, if they can pull this off, Brian. We're talking to Brian Mahoney here, who covers the NBA for the Associated Press. He joins us here on the Progressive guest line. If the Nuggets still get the 1, that could, in theory, then ding Finch or Daigneault a little bit. And at the same time, if Orlando finishes somehow with the 2 or the 3, maybe Mosley can pull this off.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right, because I do think, Mitch, there are people saying, okay, I'm going to give it to the winner of the West. And if it's Michael Malone, it's not one of the 2 guys. If it's not, Finch, or if it's not Daigneault, then maybe people say, okay, let's look at Orlando there. And this was not a team we thought was going to be anywhere near a top 2 or 3 seed in the East, and that's what they've become. So, yeah, I do think there's a great case there for him as well.
Brian, we get the Mavericks and the Warriors again tonight. This has been quite the turnaround here for Dallas defensively now, going back almost nearly a month at this point. Paulie recently bet the Mavericks to win the Western Conference. That number is getting lower by the day. Are you fully in with this team at this point?
There's a lot I like about it. I thought when they made the the two trades, when they got Washington and Gafford, I said, look, Gafford is, a great defensive player. He makes everything at the rim. Washington's a scorer. That was what they obviously didn't have. They couldn't throw the ball inside at all. When you have one of the best backcourts you could possibly put together when Luka and Irving are healthy. So, I mean, I can't rule them out anymore. It's, what did they won? 8 of their last 10. They won the 2 games they needed to out in Sacramento. They're great wins. So, the West is super tough. It's hard to imagine, making a run from without having home court advantage in any round, which they'd have to do now. But,
yeah.
When you got Luka, you got a chance.
Yep. Do you think Wembanyama has a chance? Defensive Player of the Year. Do you think it'll be close? All the people you talk to and voters, or will it get Gobert being on the bench defensive team win out?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's going to be almost, it comes down to as simple as, is there Gobert voter fatigue in that category, or do people think we're going to eventually have Wembanyama voter fatigue and don't want to vote him now? Because I think it comes down to those two guys. Do people say, look, if we give it to Wembanyama now, he's going to win it, like he said, every year going forward? But Gobert, look, what Minnesota's defense has done, it's hard not to pick him again. Certainly, he's had a good individual year. The team has had great success. So, I would think it goes 1-2 in that order if I had to guess now.
So you told us a couple of months ago that you gave up your vote after they made the requirements of players. They had to get there for 65 games this year. You did not like it, so you gave up your vote. If this is an unfair question and you don't want to answer it, I get it. But if you did not give up your vote and you still had it, who would you vote for as of today for that award?
For MVP, Mitch?
No, for Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, Defensive Player of the Year. I'm sorry. I would vote Gobert. I would go Gobert 1 and Wembanyama 2, and I guess Anthony Davis after that. I think he's had a great year as well. I think, look, if he had started this run a little bit earlier, maybe Wembanyama would go. But, San Antonio just had such a miserable start to the year. And, his adjustment to the NBA, obviously he's a rookie. He wasn't playing, fantastic the first few weeks, even months. But lately he's been great. But I think start to finish, I would go Gobert based on, what, again, Minnesota has done and how he's played very well. And I think, the first year he had there in Minnesota was kind of rocky. I don't think it's been that way at all this year. So I'd credit him for that as well.
Thanks a lot, Brian. Great job. Enjoy the season. Talk to you soon.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Be good, Brian.
Right. Could there be Gobert fatigue? Could that happen?
Oh, he brought it up.
I mean, that's a good point. That's going to hurt us, though, the slow start. But then again, it was how Pop was using him. That's the other thing. He wasn't really playing center. He didn't have a lot of blocks because he wasn't near the rim a lot. And then he was on a minutes restriction.
Yeah, I know.
So,
and they got blown out a lot.
Yeah. So it was a rough start, no doubt.
He joined us on the Progressive guest line.
So I will say Finch is 3-1 right now. The Minnesota head coach is 3-1. It looks like they're going to finish ahead of OKC.
Oh, what a big game it is tonight. All these games are big.
Yeah.
In the final 8-9 days that we have. They get the Suns coming up tonight. And we will discuss the NBA card next year. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This team is 10-2 to the under. And what a turnaround here. Details on that coming up next.
Never been a better time to have skin in the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. A VSiN exclusive offer for new DraftKings customers. Earn a $500 bonus bet for every $1,000 you wager. Earn up to $2,500 worth of bonus bets in your first 3 days on DraftKings. Don't wait. Download the app now. Use code FTM when you sign up. $500 bonus bet every $1,000 you wager now. Dynasty Rewards, go get it. Great offer. And fund that account. Get ready to fire tomorrow. TPC Scottsdale at the DraftKings Sportsbook.
Longtime bettor Bruce Marshall joins the program now. He's been very kind to wake up early with us throughout the tournament. He's with Vegas Insider, CBSSportsline.com as well. He joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Bruce, do you remember the first sports bet you ever made?
The first bet I ever made, yeah. I was like 7 years old, yeah.
What was it?
It was the Patriots against the Chargers in 1965 with my brother. And I wanted the Chargers. He let me set the spread, and I set the spread at I wanted the Chargers so bad. I set a ridiculous number, And I made the Chargers like an 18-point favorite, so he had to take the Patriots. But the Chargers lost the game outright.
Oh, that's good. You've seen it all. You've done it all. Been to the first Super Bowl. Oh, it's great. Going back. That's such a good story.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've had a great tournament, and you've been riding this wave with the NC State Wolfpack. My guess is you're going to be on them again against Purdue. Am I right with that? And if so, do you like them enough to maybe dabble on the money line?
You are correct, sir. And yes, I do. Though my first pick here would just be take the 9.5. But I do think they have a shot to win this thing. A couple of notes here. One, the name is the same as 1983, but this team is doing it a little bit differently. With Valvano in 83, for those of us old enough to remember, that team was riding lightning like you never saw in the tournament. And what Valvano was doing, these close games, I mean, he was fouling, not even when he was behind. He was fouling when games were tied late and daring the other team to make both ends of the 1-1. That was before you went to 2 shots at the 10th foul. By the way, Valvano's tactics caused that rule change, really. But he would dare teams because he wanted the ball last to take shots. And the Houston game was like that, the Virginia game, the UNLV game in the tournament, the Pepperdine game, Wake Forest game in the ACC tournament. I mean, he was on such a roll. This team, look what this team's doing. Last week, beat Duke by 12, beat Marquette by 9, beat Texas Tech by 13, beat North Carolina by 8 in the ACC final. Yes, that Virginia game in the ACC semis was reminiscent of 83. And the Oakland game did go to overtime. But for the most part, this team is just taking care of business. What I think the key here is going to be how long they can keep Burns on the floor. Cannot afford to get him into foul trouble. Edey, if you saw the game last week for Purdue against Tennessee, he was getting the ball on the low block. He was so deep. I mean, he'd take the entry pass to him, and he became a nice default option when their 3-pointers went falling. He was 2-3 feet away from the bucket. He just turned around and he was right there and laid in. Burns will not let him set up that low. Burns will push him out some. I don't care how tall Edey is. He's not going to move Burns off. If Burns doesn't want him on the blow block, Edey's not going there. This only works with Burns. Diarra and Middlebrooks are good, but they're not going to be able to do that to Edey. But Burns could, and that could change the dynamic. Listen, I know Purdue shot threes really good all year, but you can still go a little bit cold. They certainly did against Tennessee. And NC State's guards have got a chip on their shoulder right now. They badly outplayed Duke's guards twice. Duke's got a good backcourt. Horn, Marcel, O'Connell, Taylor, they are all very cocky right now, and they think they can take on anybody. And I'm not sure they can't. So I'm taking the points. I would think about making this a money line play. But the bottom line is NC State can win this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
All good points, but Tennessee got a tough whistle in the last game. You know, seeing how they officiate this game, right? What if Burns gets a quick one? What if Burns gets 2 quick early fouls?
Then all bets are off.
Yeah,
because that's the which will be too late if you made the bet. But we'll assume he's there. But they need him on the floor because he's the guy who can make it tough on Edey. One thing I'll note about Edey, though, the other way, Edey's been pretty good about avoiding fouls. I think he's only fouled out once this season. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't that be something, though? And I'm not sure they're even going to put him on Burns. But if he did, and Burns is a tough guy to guard. So it could go the other way, too. But he is Burns. He's got to stay out there because I don't think the other guys are going to be able to slow Edey the way Burns could.
Okay, very good. Follow the Money, Paulie and Mitch Veason, the Sports Betting Network. Bruce Marshall, our guest. Vegas Insider, Bruce A. Marshall on Twitter, and X, he's on the Progressive guest line. Okay, how about the UConn Freight Train here? Look at this point spread, 12 against Alabama. Won 10 in a row in the tournament, covered them all. Blitzed Illinois, beat them by 30. Can you make the case for the dog here that it's too many points, and also could they shock the world?
Yes, I think they could. I don't know that they will, but I've fielded several questions this week about is UConn unbeatable? No. I mean, they lost 3 games this year. It's hard to beat them, but they're not unbeatable. I remind people, Secretariat his 3-year-old year. Lost 3 times. Ron Flatter will tell you why that really didn't happen, but he's wrong. He lost 3 times that year. I don't care what happened. He lost. This team can lose. It's unlikely, but not impossible. What Bama does, Bama's going to play them differently than anybody else. And by the way, the Illinois game, that game was very tight. It was a toss-up game to the last minute of the first half. If they call the foul on Caravan on that, when the score is tied and then the ball kicked out for the 3-pointer right before halftime, and UConn doesn't go up 26-23, they may go on halftime behind, and that 30-0 run isn't going to happen. It happened, and of course we know they're killing everybody. But Alabama, listen, they are the analytics team of all time. Not that I love analytics, but what Nate Oates does, this team shoots threes.
Yep.
Or they shoot at the rim, dunks, layups, and things like that. They do not have an intermediate shooting offense. And this is where Klingon really completely shuts down the key. I mean, you can't shoot, inside the arc really against him unless you're right at the rim. You saw Illinois get really unnerved by him and everybody else in the last couple of months. Well, I don't know in this game, the way Alabama plays, that sort of takes Klingon out of it because they're shooting threes or they're, like I said, right at the rim. It's either follow-ups or dunks. And is Klingon going to go and chase Grant Nelson out there, 20 feet away from the bucket? I don't know. I think they can negate Klingon some. Now, they're going to have to hit their threes, and we're just talking about, I contradict myself a bit because I said I'm not sure Purdue can hit threes. But Alabama's been, this is what they've been doing all year. Mark Sears, every time I see him, he reminds me more and more of Jalen Brunson, a little bit of a poor man's Jalen Brunson, but he can certainly, he's fearless, absolutely fearless, and this team is on a roll. Now, I know defensively this is an issue, but I sort of think when Alabama, if they have to step it up a little bit, they can, and this is a pretty good run that Alabama's on here. They're going to have to hit their threes. So if they don't, this could be a 30-point game. But I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be close. And I'm not sure Alabama can win, but 12, I'll take them. And maybe I'm crazy going against UConn, but I've done crazy things before, like bet on the lay 19 with the 1965 Chargers. So I will take Alabama.
Yep. Very good. How surprised are you, 90 seconds left, with this Musselman story? And apparently, like, Arkansas fans and people around the program are like, oh, okay, well, what are you going to do? He won Elite Eight, Sweet 16, one bad year, and he takes the USC job.
He's starting the contract clock over again, so I was not surprised at this, really. I figured that he was looking. We heard that he might be in the frame for Louisville, too. And then the SC job opened up. He's got roots in Southern California. He went to college at USD. His wife is from California, so I know she wants to come back, and that's a big factor. And so I'm not surprised at all. But we'll see what happens with Arkansas now, because this starts another chain of the dominoes falling. We're hearing Chris Beard's name. Would not shock me. That would open up Ole Miss then. Then we're hearing Will Wade's name for that. It's the carousel is still spinning, and all it takes is one of these jobs opening up, and then 2 or 3 open up. But that's what we're hearing back in Arkansas.
All right, you've had a fantastic tournament. Thanks for doing this, getting up early with us, and good luck, and I'm with you on the Dogs. Thanks a lot, Bruce.
Good luck, boys. Thank you.
Yep,
good luck to you.
Join us on the Progressive Guest Line.
1965.
I wanted San Diego so bad. Give me 18. They lost outright. Up next, In Pocket Plays what we are betting tonight and this weekend next here on VSiN.